Up until now, you've managed to create multiple test cases by duplicating existing ones and adapting those to fit different testing scenarios. This is one method to create test cases quickly, but it has its limitations. An even more efficient method is using libraries and reusable test step blocks. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to work with and create libraries and reusable test step blocks in Tosca. We'll first look at what libraries and reusable test step blocks are and why you should use them. Not only that, but we'll also look at where in Tosca you can create these two types of test objects and how. You can imagine that as you create more test cases, there will be certain steps or sequences of steps which you may need to use more than once. As mentioned earlier, you could duplicate existing test cases and adapt them to fit different testing scenarios, but this is not best practice, as it creates duplicated artifacts. This makes it a lot harder for you to maintain your test cases. Whenever you want to change one single value, you have to change that value in every single test case. You could also create test steps from scratch, but this is also not sustainable. Rather than wasting time on creating these steps from scratch every time, you can create a library in which you can store these steps. The benefit is that whenever you want to use and reuse these steps later on, you can simply drag and drop them where you need them. In Tosca, this library is called a test step library. The steps inside the library that you can reuse are called reusable test step blocks. Test step libraries contain any number of reusable test step blocks, which then can be reused throughout numerous test cases. This is why you should add steps to the library that will remain unchanged in any test case in which they will be used. As the name Test Step Library and Reusable Test Step Blocks already suggests, you'll be working with these in the test case section. Let's take a look at an example of how you can create libraries and reusable test step blocks. We'll start with a simple example. In the automation of test cases, it's best practice to start and end the test case at the same place. In this project, we're always beginning by opening the browser, navigating to the web shop URL, and logging in. We'll always end the test case by logging out of the web shop and closing the browser. To make the creation of multiple test cases faster and more efficient, you can simply add these test steps to your test step library. But these are not the only test steps you can reuse. There are other steps as well. We'll look into those and create a test step library and add to it the relevant reusable test step blocks. The purpose of this test case is to verify the calculation of an additional payment fee for purchasing blue jeans in the web shop using a check or money order. First, you will need to create the test step library. You can add a library to any test case folder that does not already contain a library. This is very simple. You simply right-click on the folder and select Create Test Step Library. You can also use the shortcut Ctrl-N, Ctrl-L. To create reusable test step blocks from the test steps you have already created, simply drag and drop them from their original location to the library. You will see that these test steps immediately become references to the reusable test step blocks. Where the original test step was located, a white arrow now appears to indicate that it is now a reference to the library. You may also notice that the reusable test step blocks in the library are automatically put in alphabetical order. To save a sequence of test steps, you can add them to a reusable test step block folder. Test steps in folders will not be rearranged into alphabetical order. And this brings us to the end of our lesson. You are now able to create and work with libraries and reusable test step blocks in Tosca. Have a go at creating your own with this exercise.